Folks, drama, bin drama, Arab drama. What? And the strange thing, this time, most Kenyans are mezuba. They have no idea what is happening. The truth is, events are unfolding extremely rapidly. Yeah? Events which will have far-reaching effects on our country. Events which will have a huge impact, yeah, in the days, weeks, and months to come. Gosh, I have so many recordings, I'm getting confused. Anyway, let me quickly summarize them for you. Raila Odinga is in the US. That statement alone is loaded. County assemblies right across Nyanza and Western Kenya are rapidly adopting the People's Assembly. Yeah, this is going to have... Watch out. Now, this second bombshell is very closely linked to the third bombshell, yeah, which I know you're going to cheer. Yeah, drums, please. I know you're going to cheer. Secession. The calls for secession are gathering momentum at a frightening speed. And then, there are very clear signs of internal problems within the Jubilee coalition. Okay? Now, get this right. In any war, if you study a war, in any battle, in any contest for power, etc., etc., especially when the competition is so keen, so stiff, so cutthroat, the side that is losing will always have internal squabbles. We nilikwambia ungefanya hivi, mbona hukufanya hivi, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah? Historically, that always happens. So even if these signs are not there, that is obvious. Something was bound to give. Yeah, but there are clear signs, yeah, which I will discuss. Where do I start? Let us start with Raila Odinga. Then all the other topics I've mentioned will have their own recordings, separate recordings, yeah, so that we cover it properly, yeah, without being in a hurry, to make sure that we all understand exactly what is happening, the repercussions, possible consequences, predictions, etc., etc. Now, Dennis Itumbi's propaganda machine never sleeps. Okay, and you will have had a rumor, a very strong rumor, that Raila Odinga was due to address Congress, the United States of America Congress. Now, many people fell for this propaganda. The whole objective was to spread the propaganda so that people's hopes are raised, and then you remove another counter propaganda saying, I thought we were told this guy is going to address Congress. Ha ha ha, his trip is a failure, etc., etc. Yeah, that's how propaganda works. The truth is, even for heads of state, addressing the United States Congress, hiyo pengine dunia karibu iishe. It's not easy. In the history of the Congress, only twice, mara mbili peke yake, only twice have foreign dignitaries addressed the Congress. Okay, now for the sake of those who are interested in detail, it was in May 1934, French Ambassador André de la Bolle, yeah, addressed Congress to mark the centennial of the death of the Marquis de la Fère. Yeah, yes, anyway, it happened in 1934. And then, of course, the only other time was when Cuban ambassador Guillermo Belt addressed Congress in 19th April 1948 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Cuban independence, yeah, from the Spanish-American War of 1898. Okay, only twice it has happened. And in any case, although the Kenyan issue is important to the US, you need to look at its hierarchy of importance. Yeah, it's nowhere near the top of the list, as serious as the problem of Kenya is. Yeah, so US Congress, far-fetched, very far-fetched. That was pure propaganda. And I've told you what the objective was. Okay, now that already should tell you one thing. That Raila Odinga in America, opening his mouth to speak, makes some people not sleep well at night. Yeah, it's the kind of thing which makes people wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweat. Nightmare. Why? Because we have reached a critical stage in this battle for the future of Kenya, where international opinion is extremely important. That's really what it is. And I'm sure you know something else. The NASA coalition has come a very long way from immediately after the August 8th elections. Because after the August 8th elections, The international community had only one agenda: take things back to normal in Kenya as soon as possible. Let there be no fighting. You know, they had simplified the thing to that. Yeah, no violence. Election, we don't care how those elections go. Tumalizane na hii maneno haraka, things go back to normal, we move on. We have a very heavy agenda. Oh, it didn't happen like that. And that is why there were emissaries, there were a lot of people sent to Raila Odinga telling him with only one message: accept and move on. Yani, they were telling him to accept all that massive fraud against the Kenyan people once again and move on. That's what they were telling him. Anyway, fortunately, Raila did not accept. Fortunately. So anyway, what has happened from that time? Things have changed. They've changed a lot. Those of you who caught the Ruto interview on CNN, I believe, yes, you heard the pointed question the journalist was asking. And even when he was dodging the questions, he was saying, in fact, there was one particular place where he said something to the effect that if you think that the fact that such a large percentage of the population did not take part in the election is not an issue, I don't agree with you. Ngoja utaona. Yeah, he said something to that effect. The journalist actually said something to that effect, which is very interesting because journalists don't normally give the opinion. Lakini huyu jamaa aliumwa mpaka kabidi ambie I mean, it really affected him till he just had to tell the DP, yeah, you're wrong. Hey, I've never seen that in an interview, by the way. Anyway, so things have changed. And of course, the Jubilee High Command is extremely worried. They will not show it, of course, but they're extremely worried at the rapidly gathering international sympathy towards the NASA cause. And it's, to me, really, it's not the NASA cause. It's the cause of the Kenyan people. It's the cause of the long-suffering Kenyan people, the vast majority of the country. Now, this is a fact that has become very clear to the entire world because, for instance, I can tell you, do you know how much value Safaricom has lost since NASA people called for the boycott? How much value has been shaved off the company since that boycott call came? Yeah, the figure is close. Get ready for this. The figure is close to 40 billion. Kenya shillings, 40 billion. Can you picture that amount of money? That is a horrendous amount of money. Yeah, that's what Safaricom have lost. Yeah, their value in the Nairobi Stock Exchange fell, yes, well, in what may appear to be marginally, but when you calculate the value of the company, it is a huge amount of money. Now, I'm not even talking about the complaint from the distributors that they've been hit very hard, because in terms of, you know, the people they're distributing products to. Yeah, just to give you a quick example, you see, there's the person called the dealer. Yeah, he's the one who receives, is there like the wholesaler. Yeah, so he redistributes the products to agents. Yeah, so these dealers are saying, "Ai, hii biashara agents si mzuri, inaanguka vibaya sana." Yeah, that is what's happening. We're not even mentioning that. Yeah, anyway, let's not lose track. So clearly, the impact is there for anybody with eyes and who wants to look at this without emotion. The impact is there, and it's very, very clear for everybody to see. And so when Raila Odinga shows up in the US, people are very eager to hear what he has to say. Yeah, they want to know really what's really going on in Kenya. Yeah, and of course Raila Odinga is telling them. Yeah, and is being very much on point. I'm telling you, this NASA team is being supported by a technical team. Those guys know their game. Because there's no point in addressing the Congress. What impact, assuming it was easy to address the Congress, would that have the same impact as knowing exactly who to address? Yeah, instead of throwing a bomb in a general direction where you want to hit your enemy, why not? Isn't a sniper more effective? You aim, you target exactly the kind of people, you know, the thought leaders you need to influence. Yeah, the people you need to influence, you target them with precision. This is exactly what the Raila Odinga NASA strategy is in the US. Now, Raila spoke yesterday, the 9th of November 2017, at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, D.C. Okay? And he was very precise and exact in his 30-minute lecture. And he started by summarizing what he had to say very concisely, very clearly. So clearly that let me just quote him verbatim. Okay? I have come to Washington to convey a simple message. We need a much fuller engagement in the many arms of government that your country possesses. He's not talking about the US, your country, the US. the many arms of government that your country possesses to assist the envoys in Nairobi. Yeah? The envoys' efforts up to now have not succeeded in diffusing the crisis, and let me be blunt, they have sometimes contributed to the crisis. Kenya is not just an electoral crisis triggered by the third straight stolen election. No, let me be blunt. Kenya is hurtling towards an outright dictatorship. Okay? And then, of course, he built his case for a fresh, credible election. Yeah? Referring to Jubilee's self-declared goal of running Kenya up to the year 2032. With their well-laid plans, rig election up, Rudy in power, and so on and so forth. And he released another bombshell. He said even if the Supreme Court nullifies the President Uhuru's election and calls for a fresh election, NASA may not participate in it. Okay? Kwa sababu hiki tumekuwa mchezo. You nullify an election, these guys, they just go and do exactly, rinse and repeat. They do exactly what they did before. Yeah. So what Raila is suggesting, or what NASA is suggesting, is that we get a coalition, broad-based coalition government for 6 months. Yeah. And then those issues are addressed. We form a credible election body which both sides can agree to, and then we go to a free, fair, credible, verifiable general election. Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. And for the first time, Raila Odinga mentioned secession. Yeah, what he said was that as a result of what's happening in the country, a large chunk of the country is calling for secession. Yeah, which shows actually that Raila Odinga has a large chunk of the country supporting him. That's clear. Yeah. Now he went on, of course, to accuse the foreign powers for being so obsessed with fighting terrorism and fundamentalism that they were ready to look the other way. If a government was stable and able to fight, help them fight terror, they were ready to look the other way and ignore what was happening in human rights abuses, etc., etc. And he gave an example of the Cold War period where the Western powers were ready to ignore whatever's happening on the ground as long as the country in question supported them in the Cold War. Yeah, you know, West versus East, you know, against Russia. Yeah, and very interesting, he mentioned that at that time it produced dictators, and of course at this time his point was, or his insinuation is, at this time it's also producing dictators. Yeah, and one of those dictators, of course, is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Yes, who's trying to force himself on the majority of Kenyans when the majority of Kenyans have said no, they want change. Okay. Now, it's very interesting the examples he mentions. Yeah, the examples of dictators from the Cold War period. Idi Amin Dada, yeah, Kamuzu Banda of Malawi, and then the third example was loaded. He mentioned a man called Mobutu Sese Seko of the Congo or Zaire. Yeah. Now, why is that one loaded? It is loaded because the Americans have been very cheeky at the Congo. Yeah, just because of their national security. Okay, allow me to divert a bit because this is a fascinating tale here that we need to understand, yeah, so that you understand what I mean by the fact that that was a very loaded example. Now in the 60s, the Congo are very lucky because they got a very unique leader. You know, one of those unique leaders who is very, very devoted and committed to improving the lives of the people rather than their own lives and those of their immediate families. Yeah, and of course this man's name was Patrice Lumumba. Now Patrice Lumumba, of course, was elected as the first prime minister of Zaire, and as there was a lot of squabbling, there was a lot of interference by foreign powers, which led to a very bizarre, yeah, incident where while in office he was arrested. Yeah, he was actually arrested, taken to an unknown location. The next thing that happened is that he was killed and buried. Yeah, and then Mobutu Sese Seko was set up by the United States of America. Yeah, because this is a guy they were sure would back them. Okay. Now Patrice Lumumba was so popular that somebody realized that if there's any small iota of chance that they find this guy's body, we are done. Yeah, because he just disappeared. People didn't know where he was. Yeah, and they were able to confuse the public. So what did they do next? They went and exhumed his body where he was already buried. They exhumed his body. They cut it into small pieces and burnt it in a drum of acid. What? Yeah, this information came out very clearly recently. In fact, there was an interview where one of the Belgian troops who took part in that bizarre, sick operation came out and even showed a part of Patrice Lumumba's tooth The only thing that survived that operation, he kept it as a keepsake. Aye, some people are odd. How do you keep something, a part of a human body, as a keepsake? Anyway, he showed it to the cameras, yeah? Very fascinating interview that I caught on DSTV, I think 3-4 years ago. Now today, and right now as I speak, the Congo is still going through the same problems that Raila Odinga is talking against and warning Western powers that, you know, they need to look beyond their own short-sighted interests, yeah, when they're dealing with a country like Kenya. Now, why is the Congo in those kind of problems? Okay, very quickly, the Congo is the richest, by far the richest country on planet Earth. It seems like almost virtually every inch of ground that the poor Congolese people step on is loaded with very valuable minerals of all kinds, yeah, very valuable to the West, yes, but of great interest to the US is one particular mineral many people don't know about. It's a mineral called coltan. Okay, coltan is used in every kind of transistor, every kind of electronic gadget you can think of, computers, PlayStations, electronic part of programming missiles, blah 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 blah. Now in the whole world, Congo has 80% of the entire world stock of coltan. Na hapo ndo shida yao inatokea, because that makes the Congo subject, or rather the Congo is a matter of grave national security for the United States of America, yeah, kwa sababu bila hiyo coltan it could endanger the security of the state called America. And that is why peace at the Congo is a very, very long shot, very unlikely, yeah, because these foreign powers will do everything in their power to ensure they maintain full control. And then meanwhile, the other world powers who are also there encroaching into the area, e.g. China, you get the drift. So anyway, I just thought that aside would be interesting, yeah, because by mentioning Mobutu Sese Seko, what Raila was actually saying, even you Americans, you see the blunders you have done in the past in Congo, we are aware what you have done in Congo, etc., etc. Of course, it has come to light that the whole murky operation to deal with Patrice Lumumba was a CIA operation, yeah, Central Intelligence Agency. That's the American guys, yeah. Very sad. That's international politics, but we know politics anywhere, anytime is very dirty. Okay, that's kawaida. Siasa ni chafu sana, yeah, politics. Anyway, bottom line of Raila Odinga's current ongoing trip to the US is that it is going to solidify and change the way the world looks at Kenya, yes, which is very important. Okay, no longer are they swallowing Jubilee propaganda hook, line and sinker. You know what the Jubilee propaganda is, that one man and one man alone is causing the problem. The problem is Raila Odinga, yeah, remove him and Kenya will be peaceful. Ha! The propaganda, of course, is that the Luos are the ones bringing the problem, yeah, it's only the Luos, yeah. So what is this thing about what's happening at the coast, yeah? Well, the coast wants secession, yeah. Western Kenya wants secession. Are those Luos? Anyway, that propaganda now has lost, imepoteza ladha with the Western world, yeah? And they're now beginning to be very informed about exactly what's going on in Kenya. The massive fraud against the Kenyan people is now becoming, is coming to light for the whole world to see, which is a very good thing for Kenyans. As much as we are suffering in the local economy, I think that's a very good thing to happen, okay? So expect a lot more propaganda about Raila's trip to the US, okay? And expect even very clever propaganda, like the example I gave you earlier on, where we're told Raila Odinga due to address the American Congress. What? Yeah, I told you the reason why that propaganda was spread, so that the whole thing looks like it's a failure. Yeah, you see the whole impression to Kenyans who rarely read foreign news and have no interest in the news, of course, of such a faraway country as the US, apart from when it's about a popular rap artist or a popular musician. This politics US bores most Kenyans, yeah. So most of them would swallow something like that with hook, line and sinker. And when they hear Raila is not addressing the Congress after all, they say the whole trip is a failure, the guy is just wasting time, the guy is just anamanga huko akitafuta support. Expect a lot more of that kind of propaganda going forward. Right, so look forward to the other topics which we'll cover in subsequent recordings. But meanwhile, I hope I've given you quite a lot to chew on. Until the next recording, this is Kshs Kumekucha.